WWE superstar Rhea Ripley challenged Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship at the Bad Blood Premium Live event. The Eradicator also shared her reaction to Jey Uso's heartfelt message to her following the title match. The two women locked horns in the penultimate fight of the show, with Dominic Mysterio locked inside a shark cage and suspended in the air. The back-and-forth contest between the arch-rivals ended in a controversial finish as the Nightmare won via DQ after Raquel Rodriguez attacked her. Despite winning the match, Ripley failed to secure the title owing to the manner of finish. After the match, Jey Uso took to his Instagram story to send a heartfelt message to Rhea Ripley. The WWE Intercontinental Champion praised the 27-year-old for her performance at the Premium Live event. The former Judgment Day member then reshared Uso's story. The Terror Twins were kicked out of the Judgment Day at WWE SummerSlam. Dominic Mysterio betrayed Rhea Ripley and helped Liv Morgan retain the Women's World Championship. Later that night, Finn Balor cost Damian Priest the World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther. During her recent appearance on Casual Conversation with the Classic, Rhea claimed that she cried backstage at the biggest party of the summer. The former champion said she wasn't ashamed of admitting it. She added it was an emotional moment as she had a great time working with her former stablemates for 2.5 years. Rhea Ripley has not been able to win the World Championship in either of the title matches following her return from injury. It remains to be seen what lies ahead for the Eradicator following Raquel Rodriguez's surprise appearance at WWE Bad Blood. Rhea Ripley sat backstage in the familiar yet ever-intense atmosphere of a WWE event. The electricity still crackled in the air as fans roared and chanted throughout the venue. She had just returned from one of the most grueling and career-defining matches of her life at WWE Bad Blood, emerging victorious after a brutal contest that tested her in every way possible. Sweat still glistened on her brow, her breath came in slow, deliberate waves, and her body ached in that familiar way. An odd mixture of exhaustion and adrenaline that only came after a true battle in the ring. But in that moment, Rhea was no longer thinking about her victory or the opponents she had left vanquished. She wasn't thinking about her championship, the rivalries brewing within Judgment Day, or the inevitable next challenge that awaited her. Instead, her focus was on a particular someone, Jey Uso. Jey had come into her life unexpectedly in the chaos of WWE's ever-shifting alliances and betrayals. Though their paths had often crossed in different stories, the recent intertwining of Judgment Day and Jey Uso's personal journey had sparked something new. It wasn't just another storyline. It was real, personal, and raw. Rhea could feel it every time their eyes met, in the subtle glances exchanged during tense moments, and in the air whenever they shared the same space in the ring. It wasn't that they were allies, not in the traditional sense. Jey was still trying to find his way after breaking free from his manipulative family, specifically Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, while Rhea had her own motivations as the de facto leader of Judgment Day, alongside Damian Priest and Finn Balor. But Jey struggled to prove himself, to rise above the betrayals and mind games that had defined his career for so long, resonated with Rhea on a deep level. She, too, had fought to carve out her place in WWE, to be seen not just as a force, but as a champion in her own right. That's why, when she caught wind of Jey Uso's reaction to her victory at Bad Blood, it hit her in a way that no one could have anticipated. After the match, a camera crew captured Jey watching Rhea's victorious moment on a monitor backstage. He wasn't part of the show at that point, simply a spectator for the night. But his expression said it all. There was no jealousy, no resentment, and no desire to steal her spotlight. Instead, there was admiration, something pure and heartfelt in the way he nodded. A small, appreciative smile playing on his lips as he saw Rhea lift her championship high above her head. As Rhea rewatched the footage on her phone in the locker room, her own smile began to form. Jey Uso wasn't the kind of guy who showed his feelings easily. He had learned to guard himself, to hide behind a wall of bravado and toughness after years of being caught in the web of his family's dominance. But this reaction, it was genuine. Rhea had expected respect. After all, she had just won one of the biggest matches of her career. But she hadn't expected something so personal. She paused the video, taking a moment to reflect. This was different. It wasn't just one WWE superstar acknowledging another. It felt like Jey saw something in her, something deeper than the surface-level personas they presented to the world. It wasn't about Judgment Day, or the Bloodline, or any of the factions and alliances that had defined their careers up until this point. It was about Rhea Ripley, the woman who had fought tooth and nail to earn her place in WWE, and Jey Uso, the man who was still trying to figure out where he belonged in the aftermath of breaking free from his family's control. In that moment, they weren't enemies, or allies, or even rivals. They were just two people who understood what it meant to struggle, to fight, and to survive in a world that constantly tried to tear them down. Rhea wasn't someone who let people in easily. Her entire persona was built around being untouchable, a juggernaut who dominated her opponents both physically and mentally. But there was something about Jey's reaction that made her pause. It was almost like he saw through her walls, recognized the vulnerability beneath the bravado. She had heard the whispers backstage, the rumors about a potential alliance between Jey and Judgment Day. But this felt different. This wasn't about strategy or politics or trying to get one over on another faction. It was something real. Jey's reaction wasn't part of a storyline. It was his true, raw emotion shining through. Rhea couldn't deny that Jey had been on her mind lately, and not just in a professional sense. He had an energy about him that she couldn't ignore. There was a fire in him, a drive to prove himself that mirrored her own. She admired that about him, the way he fought with every ounce of strength he had, even when the odds were stacked against him. And now, seeing him react to her win like that, something shifted inside her. She felt a connection, something deeper than just two WWE superstars crossing paths. It was as if, in that moment, they were the only two people in the entire arena who truly understood what it meant to be where they were.